Good morning. I really appreciate Rosa's prayer this morning, and it's something that I have been also thinking about this congregation. I love the leadership of this congregation. One of those examples is when the deacons went to my house and helped us unload the boxes, and also Mark and Tommy were there, of course, and also love the picture that I had experienced when we were doing the preparation for Labor Day picnic, where I saw the elders and the men trying to get it set up for that day. And all of these are good pictures about this congregation, and it tells me that this congregation is a loving congregation, and Tyler has also spoken about this. But I'm proud to be in this congregation because it's very accepting. Everybody tries to work, everybody tries to love each other, and it's something that has filled my heart lately. And so I'm really thankful that God has brought me and my family here. I told Mark about this. It's easy to follow him because he's very humble. He's not arrogant about his status and also his responsibilities. It's easy to follow the elders as well because you see them doing stuff. They're not just sitting and listening, but they're doing stuff. And so, really thankful for Rosa's prayer this morning. This morning we're going to talk about words. And I brought with me a shaving cream, and we all know how this is used. Actually, you can use this for many things, or a couple of things, but this is a specific use. It's for shaving. That's why it's called shaving cream. But as you notice, as I squeeze out this cream, there's no way to put it back in this tube. No matter how much you try to put it back in there, it just won't get back in there. Once it stays out, it's out there. Once you get it out, it's out. And shaving cream is used to help the process of shaving so that it will not be as painful as when shaving without a shaving cream. And it helps you to aid the smoothness of your shaving. Because without a shaving cream, sometimes you can cut your skin. And my son, who is a 5-year-old, one time he saw me shave my face, this part right here, and so he thought he'd do the same thing while I was in the kitchen doing something. So he took the razor and did his chin. So of course it cut his chin because there was no shaving cream and he's too young to do that. But words are like shaving cream. Once you say something, there's no way of getting back what you said. Sometimes the words that come out from our mouth are very hurtful. Sometimes they are very demeaning. Sometimes they are something that really, it's almost like they're a knife that has been stabbed in somebody's heart. And so it's like, in a way, it's like a shaving cream. They help us communicate our wants. They help us aid the process of cutting our desires, our wishes. We use words to communicate what we want in life. I want food, so that's why the babies cry, because that's their language, that's their words. Now that we're adults, we say our dreams through our verbal skills or through our written skills, probably. But also, our words are used to vent out anger, frustrations, dissatisfactions, fear, probably. And sometimes we use words to express our hate towards other people. They're like shaving cream. Once they're out, you can't take them back. Even though you have the ability to say you're sorry, or probably say, I was just kidding, the hurt was already present. And you should say sorry, but the hurt was already present. One of the things that we need to remember this morning is this: words speak who you are. Words speak who you are. In Luke chapter 6, verse 43 to 45, Jesus spoke of a tree and its fruit. He said, "For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its own fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. A good man out of a good treasure of his heart brings forth good, and an evil man out of the treasure of his heart brings forth evil." And here's the phrase that I'd like us to think this morning for this first point. For out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaks. That's in the New King James Version, but this one is from the NIV. It says, for the mouth speaks what the heart is full of. Your mouth, your words, is an extension of your character. So what has been forming in your head and in your heart the stories, the music that you've been listening to, the conversations that you've been listening to, that has been stored in your head, and somehow they also affect you, and also they form you. So when you listen to rock and roll, not that rock and roll is bad, by the way, but when you listen to rock and roll music, and there are some, words there, the F words and some curses in there, sometimes you get affected by that, and sometimes when you are angry, they come out. And where did that come from? Of course that comes from the music that you listen to. Of course that comes from the environment that you've grown up from, your friends probably. So the mouth speaks what has been forming in your heart. It is an extension of your character. What you say is a reflection of what's forming inside of you, what has been collected over the years, what has been in your head for so long. You can, put in good stuff in there, and the good stuff will come out. You can put bad stuff in there, and the bad stuff will come out. Because that's just the nature of human being. What comes out from your mouth is what gets into your head and into your heart. Point number 2 that we would like to remember this morning is this one. Words have the power of life and death. Words have the power of life and death. You probably have heard the phrase, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never break me. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never break me. Probably have heard this. This was very famous in the 1860s, and it has been used in songs even. And this is the idea that words doesn't have any effect on us. You can say bad stuff to me, you can curse at me, but it will not have any effect. Well, later, they have done some studies and research, and this is to prove how much words affect us. And it came back and told the audience that they actually affect us in many ways. Words actually they don't break our bones, but they break our souls. They break our spirit. They break our being. They break our goodness. Because words do affect us. This is not true. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never break me. That is not true. In Proverbs chapter 18, verses 4, 6 to 8, 20, and 21, it talks about the power of tongue. Tongue has the power to say something good and also power to say something bad. Has the power to bring life, but also power to cause death. One of the examples of this is a story about a beautiful girl, but she was taught by this teacher that she was not beautiful, that she was ugly. But in reality, this girl has the most beautiful curly hair, big brown eyes, she has a slender body, and she has this angelic face. She was beautiful, but because she believed her teacher that she was ugly, she grew up believing that she was ugly. She was not ugly. Another example is of a father and a son, and they, usually would work and farm together. And the son was still not ripe in age, and so he's trying to find his identity. And so he was not as hardworking as his father wanted him to be. And so one day, out of the frustration of his dad said, "You will never amount to anything." Now, I don't know if the dad really meant it, but out of his frustration, thinking that his son was so lazy, he said those words, and unfortunately those words stuck to his son. And his son believed that he was not worth anything. But that was not true. So I'm going to go back to Proverbs chapter 18. I'm going to read some verses there, just so we get an understanding that even the Bible tells us something about the power of words and the power of our tongue. Verse 4, it said, "The words of a man's mouth are deep waters. The wellspring of wisdom is a flowing brook." 6 to 8. "A fool's lips enter into contention. His mouth calls for blows. A fool's mouth is his distraction. His lips are the snare of his soul." See that? Hear that? A fool's lips are a snare to his soul. What you say can be a snare to your soul. What you say can be something that can increment you. What you say can be something that can destroy you, not only you, but also your relationships and also others. Verses 20 to 21. "A man's stomach shall be satisfied from the fruit of his mouth, and from the produce of his lips he shall be filled. But verse 21 said, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. If you are somebody that likes to speak, to say some good stuff, then you will benefit from that. But if you're somebody who loves to curse and who loves to say bad stuff, negative stuff to others, you will also reap from that. People will not like you. People will hate you for being that. One of the good things why Lakewood Church in Texas that is pastored by Joel is growing and has thousands of people come every Sunday for the whole day is because of his words. Now, his teachings are not always biblical, but his words are very, very powerful because he always speaks positive words. Sometimes they're not true, but they are powerful, and so people come back. I'm sorry, if there's somebody here that loves Joel, please forgive me. But this is just an example of how powerful words are. Because even though they might be slightly true and slightly off, people will come back because they make people good. They boost you. They lift you up. They give you this push that you need. Paul Washer is a theologian that hated Joel Osteen because of his teachings, and he believes that Joel Osteen is not a true Bible teacher. But one thing that Paul Washer appreciated about Joel Osteen is this, that words are important. They can build you up. They can build you up. The third point that we want to remember this morning is this one. Words can be a curse or a blessing. It is a curse when you use it for ill, to hurt others, but it's also a blessing, and it's an important thing when you use it to bless others, for good of course. In James chapter 3, and Brother Mark has covered this during midweek, James chapter 3, he said, for we all stumble in many things. If anyone does not stumble in word, he is a perfect man, able also to bridle the whole body. Indeed, we put bits in horses' mouths, that they may obey us, and we turn their whole body. Look also at the ships. Although they are so large and are driven by fierce winds, they are turned by a very small rudder, wherever the pilot desires. Even so, the tongue is a small member and boasts great things. James talks about the power of the tongue, power of words, that even though our tongue is a small part of our body, it can cause us to what? To be destroyed and to destroy somebody. It can cause us to go to hell, basically. But even though it's just a small part. And he uses here many analogies. One is of a bit that you put on a horse. A horse is a powerful beast. But you can maneuver a beast. You can control a beast. Galen races horses, but he's not here, I think. But he knows the power of beasts, because you can put that in a horse and a horse will obey you, even though it's powerful than you. A ship is bigger than a rudder, but a rudder can control the direction of a ship. A tongue also is a small part of our body, but it tells a lot about you. That's our first point. That is a window. Our first point was that words speak who you are. The words that we speak is a window to our soul, to our whole being. It tells you who you are because it's an extension of your character. So these 3 points that we are talking this morning, a reminder to us that we should not only be careful with our words, but be generously positive with our words. Speak positive words to your brothers and your sisters. Not just your biological family, but also the church family. Because people will not come back, even though they will come back for songs, they will come back for this one thing, relationships. And relationships are built with words, first and foremost. There's no relationship that can last without words. If you and your husband, your wife and your husband stay in the same house without speaking for 1 month, what do you think will happen? Because words can help build relationship. So even though we probably are not in a big congregation that has the beautiful music, people will want to come back because of our positive words, because of our environment, because of our relationship, because the way we treat each other. So I don't want to tell you to be careful what you speak. I want to tell you to be generously positive with your words. Speak positive words. Affirm somebody. Confirm their goodness. And here are 5 words that I want us to learn, by the way, that are important for us in every relationship, not just in this church family, but also in your husband and wife relationship. 5 phrases, 5 languages that we want to learn. First is please. Please. The second one is say, I'm sorry. Even though husbands will be wise when they say, I am sorry, even though it's not their fault. Say, I am sorry. Third, say, excuse me. Excuse me. Not the degrading way of saying, excuse me. That's not the excuse me that we want. Say, excuse me. The fourth one is thank you. Thank you is very powerful, by the way, because thank you is a way of opening up yourself that you are humble. You might not need help, but somebody who's trying to help you offers help. Say thank you. One of the things that we experienced this week was, of course, the generosity from this church. The elders were there, and also John and Renee were there and brought us food. And other people came in and helped us with those stuff. So I said thank you. The 5th language that we want to learn this morning, the 5th language is this: I love you. That is important. Now, we have this understanding that this language is only used between a couple. But that is not true. I love you, the phrase I love you is not limited to the husband and wife or to the boyfriend and girlfriend relationship. But it's also a word that can be shared to my brother. I can tell Brother Mark, I love you. I can tell Brother Jerry, I love you. So it's not a word that's really limited to just a male and female relationship. It's a word that is given to everybody. Isn't this what Jesus did on the cross? He said, I love you through His actions. He said, I love you through dying for our behalf. He wasn't just male-oriented. His death was not just male-oriented. His death was for everybody. And so I think it's important for us to learn I love you, to say I love you to our brothers as well. Not only those that are in our relationship, but even to those that are outside the relationship. If there's anything that I would like us to really think this morning, it's this one from Colossians chapter 4, verse 6. It said, let your speech at all times be gracious and pleasant, seasoned with salt. That means that we will try our best to be positive with our words, that we will try to affirm others, that we will try to confirm their goodness. This means that whenever we speak, it's with love, it's seasoned with love. But it said there, do not rub your salt on somebody's wound. Season it with salt, but don't be salty. Brothers and sisters, I would like to offer us an invitation that if there's somebody here that struggles with words, that struggles with languages, that struggles with the relationship because of their verbal limitations, and would like to come forward and be prayed over, and would like to sit down with the elders probably or the deacons and talk about that, you are very welcome.